Dear friends, I'm pleased to be here today and to join my peers to launch and to recognize this milestone of all of us. Elders share a deep commitment to protecting and advancing human rights, so it is fitting that we would launch unprecedented initiative of this campaign, which we believe is much needed. As elders, our responsibility is to listen and to amplify people's voices from all over the world, and to support the efforts of our global, regional, and national partners. The enemy of human rights is silence, and we want to hear your stories, the stories of children, stories of women, stories of young people, stories of minorities, stories of those who are a shining example of human rights triumph, but also stories of those human rights are being abused and neglected. So for this campaign to succeed, we need everyone to use every means at their disposal, including the internet, to tell their stories. The 1 billion people we are calling for is not only a signature, it is a commitment to do something, to go beyond your everyday activities, to do much more, to make sure that we all reaffirm and assert the rights of everyone. We would like to feel during the next year the pulse of the world, from the most remote areas of our globe, from those who believe they are forgotten, to come forward and to be part of this large movement of people who speak out to protect their rights, to advance their rights, and to speak out against abuses. While strides have been made in some areas, many grave challenges to human rights remain. Unfortunately, there are too many statistics to mention here today, but I will just list a few as illustrations. 854 million people do not have enough to eat in a world of such abundance. This is more than the populations of Canada, of the US, and the European Union combined. The number of child laborers working in hazardous jobs and not in schools is double the total number of children in the United States. It is striking to realize that across the globe, human rights abuses have the face of a woman, have a face of a child. When we look at education, it is the girl child who loses out. When we look at diseases and preventable diseases, HIV/AIDS, the face of those who bear the brunt are women and children. When we talk of poverty, abject poverty, that kind of poverty has a face of a woman. So we face a situation where the most vulnerable, indeed the ones whose rights should be highly protected, are the ones whose rights are systematically neglected, and violated. So with this campaign, we hope to touch the consciousness of every one of us and to say, this is not right. This is not right. And if we are going to talk about human rights in 21st century, then we have to change totally our attitudes towards women and towards children, towards any kind of discrimination, towards any kind of neglect. I recently traveled to Sudan with my fellow elders, actually with our chair, Arch Jim Carter and Dr. Brahim. And the stories we heard there will stay with us forever. We spoke to women. Every single woman who spoke to us, representing internally displaced persons, representing community leaders, representing even some of them government officials, NGOs, UN, but every single person we spoke to, the first thing they told us was that they needed security. In situations of conflict, security, and particularly security for women and children, is of utmost importance. They need security. They gave us examples of what happens to them, even graphically, to show how women are being raped, are beaten, and brutalized. I think they thought we may not get the clear translation of what they were telling us. So they went at length to use gestures to show how brutal it was, the kind of assault they are subjected to. That was in Sudan, but we also know of stories in the Eastern Congo. So it is our determination that the Every Human Has Rights campaign and other like-minded efforts will spur the global community to demand immediate action in these areas and push for peace and justice. We will work with international partners as well as civil society organizations from the developing world to call on individuals from around the globe to sign the Universal Declaration and to send to the world, actually, their stories. We are very excited to work with our global, regional, and local partners to engage in communities all across the world, to take responsibility and demand that global institutions, governments, deliver to the basic human rights outlined in the Universal Declaration. But more importantly, that every single human being should be aware and exercise his or her rights without intimidation, without neglect, without discrimination.